بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. So this is for the moms, and I think it's applicable to every single Muslim. And before I answer the question of whether moms should attend Taraweeh or attend programs or do this and that, or should they be home and stay with the kids, a very fundamental thing to understand, brothers and sisters, is our perspective of deen and our perspective of what is ibadah and what is worship and what is the thing that pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Understand that. If we have in our understanding that, prayer is something virtuous and it makes Allah happy, then we are going to, consider that it is only through prayer that I am going to attain the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us in the Quran, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, for example, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned to us in the Quran, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, and the commandment of Allah and a great reward from Allah is that we must do ihsan and kindness to our parents. Now imagine somebody told you, if you pray salat, you will go to Jannah. But if a person has not valued this, that if you take care of your parents, you will go to Jannah. It's our perspective that when we think and we have this notion that I'm going to do this, for example, everybody who's sitting here, we sit here with intention, considering like while you are waiting for prayer, it is as if you are in prayer. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is, when a person is sitting waiting for the prayer, it is as if they are in prayer actively and you're getting the reward. So you prayed Salatul Dhuhr and you wait from Dhuhr till Asr. You will not become angry. You will not be frustrated. You will not become impatient. Why? It's because subhanAllah, the more that I sit and the more that I wait, that whole time is being written for me as prayer. Isn't it? Sometimes the imam comes 1 second late, we want to, fire the poor guy. Because he made me wait. What's going on? What's happening? Whereas we don't realize that waiting, even when we wait, we are getting the reward of prayer. When you wait from Maghrib to Isha in the Masjid, let's say a person comes in the Masjid and they pray Salatul Maghrib, and then they wait from Salatul Maghrib to Salatul Isha. That whole time is written as prayer, and you're just waiting. Now, any other time when a person is waiting, you get frustrated, you become angry, you get restless. But when you know that Allah is giving you the reward of prayer while you wait, then you will have patience. Not only will you have patience, you will be very comfortable, you will be very serene, you will be very happy, and you will be very contented. Now, with that being said, it brings us to the matter of our duties. Sometimes as men, fathers, they become frustrated. You don't know all this, what I'm doing for you, and I put food on the table and I'm taking care of this family. Look, why are you complaining or getting angry? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is rewarding you for that. Even the morsel that a man puts in the mouth of his wife, this is a sadaqah. So the Prophet ﷺ is telling us that even when you pick up a morsel of food, a luqma of food, and you put it in the mouth of your children, and you put it in the mouth of your wife, this is a sadaqah and a charity for you. This is an act of ibadat. It's an act of worship. Now this is not going to be frustrating for you. So now we come to the issue of our sisters. The greatest maqam, the greatest status, I think, in Islam that Allah has given any human being is the status of the mother. There is no human being after Allah and Rasul that has a greater status than the mother. Is this because she prays a lot of tahajjud? Is this because she gives a lot of sadaqah and charity? Is this because she does a lot of zikr azkar? The respect of the mother is obligatory upon a Muslim, even if the mother is a kafir. Think about this. This has nothing to do with the piety of the mother. This has nothing to do, and I want the sisters and the mothers to listen very closely. This has nothing to do, the honor that we have to have for our mothers, it has even nothing to do with their iman. Can you imagine this? Meaning, the obligation of dutifulness and the obligation of ihsan and kindness that we have to do to our parents, it has nothing to do with their relationship with Allah. It has everything to do with your relationship with them and how they took care of you and cared for you when you were a baby and a child. The reward of why the mothers have such a reward is because of one thing, and this is the word that Allah uses in the Quran, that make this dua for your parents. وَقُلْ رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي صَغِيرًا. And say, oh Allah, you have mercy upon them just as they gave tarbiyah to me when I was a child, when I was a baby. The word that Allah uses here is tarbiyah. Nurturing, taking care, caretaking, nurturing, looking after. Now with that being said, we understand that Jannat is under the feet of the mothers because of what? Not because of their tahajjud. Not even because of their iman. Can you imagine? It's not even because of their iman. It's not even because they are Muslim. It's because they made your tarbiyah. They were there for you when you were a baby. They were there for you when you were a child. My dear mothers and sisters, understand that the obligation of caring for your children, the obligation of caring for your home, the obligation of cooking a home-cooked meal, putting the morsel of food in the mouth of your children, wallahi, it is greater than any act of ibadah. The maqam that Allah has given you, that all of us are obligated. Your maqam is not because you used to pray 20 rakats tarawih in the masjid. Your maqam is not because, mashallah, you were in first saf in Jamaat. You did not miss, Jamaat for 40 years in the first saf. No, that's not, no woman has a maqam because of that. The mothers that have a maqam, they have a maqam because of their selflessness, because of their sacrifice for their children, because of their mahabbat, because of their being there. Do you know, again, Dr. Salim Saab, Dr. Jabir Saab, they're here. Ask them that at that crucial time when the mother was not in the life of the children, or mothers were not attentive, mothers weren't there, they were not attentive to their children, they didn't give them that tarbiyah. That is where you can see that throughout their entire life they are scarred. My dear respected sisters and mothers, Salatul Taraweeh for sisters and mothers is not wajib in the houses of Allah. Salat with Jamaat is not wajib for sisters in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The hadith of Bukhari says, لا تمنعوا إماء الله مساجد الله. Do not prevent the slave women of Allah from the houses of Allah. This word prevent means it's not an obligation for them. You should allow them. If they want to go, let them go, but don't stop them. So when the Prophet ﷺ is saying, don't stop them, meaning it's not an obligation. Let them, if they want to come, it's their choice. They can come if they want to come, but you shouldn't prevent them from doing so. This wording, it doesn't show wujub. This wording doesn't show obligation. Like if I were to tell you, right, let him go play. Let him go to the park. Just let him go ride his bike. What does that tell you? Riding bike is obligation? Going to the park is an obligation. You have to do it. If you don't do it, it's the end of the world. If you don't do it, you're going to be questioned. No, it's saying that's a privilege. That's a privilege. Don't stop him from giving him that privilege. So our sisters are not stopped from the privilege of Taraweeh. They're not to be prevented from the privilege of performing salat in the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't want to take an extreme view. And I'm talking about from the perspective of Islamic fiqh. In the Hanafi mazhab, it's makruh for women to pray salat in the masjid. I'm talking about classical fiqh. And where this comes from, not because Imam Abu Hanifa woke up one day and said, I really want to be mean, Salat is Jamaat is makruh for you. No, it is because of the statement of Aisha radiallahu anha, the women, the mother of believers, that if the Prophet ﷺ saw women today, how they're going to the masjid, he would have said, don't go to the masjid. This is based on the statement and the fatwa of the Sahaba. Abdullah ibn Masud radiallahu anhu, he used to say, oh women, go to your homes, your houses are better for you. Based on these statements, some of the fuqaha, they have taken this opinion, that from this they have taken the undesirability. Now with that being said, Imam Abu Hanifa's madhab is not the only madhab. Imam Shafi'i's madhab, they say no, it is allowed for them. And the hadith is this hadith, لا تمنعوا مساجد الله لا تمنعوا إماء الله مساجد الله. Don't prevent the slaves of Allah from the houses of Allah. Don't stop them. So therefore, they have a general perspective of permission. With that being said, I want to emphasize on this point. Our sisters, mashallah, come. Is it really for ibadat, or is it really because you just want to socialize because it's just tiring at home? And I think a lot of times it's not really for the ibadat. And why I'm saying that, I'm not doubting anybody's intention, because the sisters come and a majority of them just let the kids loose and they're running through the sufuf like this. They're running. And they're screaming at their lungs. And nobody who is there for worship is knowing what the heck they're doing. They can't think about the reciting of the Quran. They can't think about the tilawat. They don't know what the qari read. And then I'm just watching kids run around. This is what the masjid is for? What is the space, what is the place which is the space of worship? What has it been established for? There has to be a difference from the house and the masjid. There has to be a difference, right? I come to the masjid for peace and quiet. If the masjid is going to be the same thing as what it is at home, then why come to the masjid? Another reality is that this is just the case in my situation, My wife did not come to the masjid till my kids were like 8 years old. Somebody asked her, we don't see you in the masjid. How can I come to the masjid? The kids run around. I don't want to disturb anybody else. So, you're the sheikh's wife. How come we don't even see you? I said, I have my responsibility. What am I going to do coming in the masjid and enjoying ibadat where the ibadat can't even be enjoyed when the kids are running around? I know my kids are boys, and boys are a little bit hyper, and they're going to come and run within the sufuf. Are we testing people's patience? Are we trying to make islah of the community? Are we testing our imams to see how pious they are? What is their high level of taqwa that they're not going to say anything to me? And if they do, I will get angry with them, say, you don't follow the prophetic method. This is not the correct way. So, my humble request for my sisters is, change your perspective of what is worship. Change your perspective of what is ibadat and ta'at. And this goes also for those who are taking care of elderly parents. I know people who are taking care of an elderly mother. He says, my mother is just like at a situation right now, it just annoys me. And it's so difficult to live with her. And the reality of it is like I told him, I said, do you know that caring for your mother is more superior than Salatul Tahajjud? Caring for your mother is more superior than, any dhikr or azkar or ibadat or tilawat that you can do. And this is not, these masail are not really even matters of fatawa. These are matters of changing your perspective to consider, when I'm taking care of my children, and I'm taking care of my kids, and I'm taking care of my home, this is the greatest ibadah that I can do. And this is something very difficult, because a lot of times, a person's desire comes into it. And I don't consider it to be like stopping people or preventing people. If sisters want to come and they have the time, and mashallah, their children are very quiet, alhamdulillah, why not? It's a good thing to benefit from that. But you know that your kids are not, they're sick. Mothers are bringing their kids in the cold in the night. You're bringing them in the freezing cold. It's 40 degrees outside in the nighttime nowadays. I don't think it's going to be much different in about 2 weeks, how much is going to change. And you have these little children, they're getting brought, and then, kids are running around in the parking lot, while mothers are, for example, mashallah, in full ibadat, and then some of our security brothers, they're the ones who are taking care of people's kids. How is that appropriate? MashaAllah, some masajid have done a wonderful job. And what I like is the babysitting. Unfortunately, we don't have the capacity or like a separate room, but some masajid done a beautiful job where they have babysitting. Mothers come and they make ibadat, and they have a whole babysitting section that people are hired and they take care of the kids, and the mothers can also come and make ibadat at the masjid. This is wonderful. This is a good kind of outlet. But with that being said is, why did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam not make it an obligation for women to pray salat with jamaat? I think this is muttafaq bayn al-madahib. Why Salatul Jumu'ah is not fard upon a woman? We have to ask these questions. This is in fiqh. Scholars said this, and this comes from the hadith and Quran. Why Salatul Jumu'ah is not fard upon a woman? Why Salatul Jumu'ah and Jama'at? It's not an obligation, but if they do it, they get the ajr. Why is it? It's because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has emphasized so much about their presence in the home, about their tawajjuh upon the kids. And I think, the way we were raised, it was very, very, I was raised by my grandmother in particular. And she had one thing that she would always say. He says, the worst thing for children is beparwai. This is a Urdu and Farsi word. ये बच्चों को ये बर्बाद करता है, ये बेपरवाही. Beparwai. What's beparwai? Just let them just float around. Kids are going out, kids are going by themselves in the bathroom. Do you know what happens when kids are going in the masjid? Don't trust anywhere. And young 6-year-old kids, 7-year-old kids, 2-year-old kids, they're going by themselves. MashaAllah, mother is in full khushu and khudu in salat while kids are outside. Who is with the kids outside? What's happening outside or in the bathrooms at that age? So, there should be special programs in the masajid that dedicates its time, and alhamdulillah we have that. We have special maktab program. Sunday at Masjid al-Huda is fully dedicated to kids. Today we were in a dilemma. Should we allow the kids maktab? Or, should we say the kids maktab is off? We said no, we can't afford that the kids don't come. So we said we just tell them and the parents to join into the programs. We have a complete day dedicated for them. We have programs for them. But now this is the thing where ibadat and acts of worship. Have you been to a church before? Do you see in a church, people running around? Or, a library or anything. There's special programs, of course. But this is why I have to mention this, that the best thing is for our sisters and for our mothers, schedule yourself. Feed the kids early, get them ready for bed, feed them properly, read a book for them, put them to sleep, and once you put them to sleep, now you make your ibadat in the night, and remember that أفضل صلاة المرء صلاته في بيته إلا المكتوبة. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the most virtuous salat of a person is the salat that they perform in their home, except the fard prayer, and that is for men. For women, it's not even an obligation. So when you're performing your salat al-tarawih, schedule yourself. You had iftari, everybody had iftari. You read to them a little bit, you plan it out. Give them their food, give them their dinner, read them a book. Plan it out that you're going to put them to sleep, or keep them by you. We're going to pray tarawih together. We're going to have a tarawih program at home. We're going to have a tarawih program and a Quran program, and mothers can be really, how do you say? They can be really, they can be creative with it. Make it fun for the kids. And whoever can stand and, and stand with their, they're going to get a treat. And make it likable for them. But where many of the sisters are just scattered all over the place. The only place that the ibadat can be done is the masjid. Now, yes, once that they have been habituated to performing salat at home, being made tarbiyah of home, how am I supposed to stand? How do I stand with my mother? How do I stand with my father? Once they learn that, and you see that, mashallah, you see some of these 8-year-old kids, 7-year-old kids, mashallah, they're just like right next to their dad like an adult. How did that happen? That happened with tarbiyah. There was another person, mashallah, he came with his 2 little daughters. They're not that little. They're like 5 and like 7. And like they're going down and he's picking them up and he's sitting them and then he's listening and then they're going down again. He's picking up and he's sitting them on the chair. And I'm like, when you bring your kids to the masjid, if you're going to bring them, right, bring a little coloring book for them. Bring a little backpack. So we're going to have a little masjid backpack. I'm going to put your crayons in there. I'm going to put your coloring book in there. And when the shaykh is talking, then you can draw. Teach them. Be creative. Don't be, shh. There's another one. This is my favorite one. While I'm speaking in front of me, as if like I'm a YouTube video and I don't see the guy disturbing me. Shh. And then he's listening. And then, shh. And this is the tamasha I'm looking at the whole time. This is a tamasha. Okay, I should just listen to you and mashallah, your wonderful childbearing. We never did this. I didn't have this issue. Just stay home, keep the kids at home. When they're mature enough, then bring them. Simple. Teach them at home. Once they're mature enough, you train them. This is not the training ground. The people think masjid is training ground. Masjid ain't training ground. Home is training ground. Teach them how to pray and stand next to you at home. And once, mashallah, they are trained, you bring them, and that's why some parents, mashallah, know this through common sense. Some mothers know this from common sense, and I see many of fathers that are here, mashallah, excellent training. They train their sons and their daughters, or they train their kids beautifully. They're 6 or 7, but it started from the home. So I know that I extended this way more than it was needed, but I think it's important because Taraweeh nights are coming. And some of our security guards, their child psychology, mashallah, degree is not of that level. Some of our security guards here that babysit the whole community's children, their pay grade is not that much to babysit your kids, number one. And number two, it's that their child psychology level is not at that level as well. Sometimes they're going to yell. And then you get mad. So we get mad. Not you get mad. We get mad. I would get mad as well. But we have to understand that, this is an act of ibadah. My sacrificing going to the masjid and my sacrificing Taraweeh to stay at home and make tarbiyah of my kids and create that environment so that when they are at 8, when they are 9, when they are 10, mashallah, now they are ready. Now they're fully trained citizens. They're fully trained namazis. Now they come and they're wonderful. It's a joy to have those kids. But you have another kid, running, and then mashallah, Abbaji is just. Are you acting like you're in khushu and khudu? Because I'm not. I'm distracted. Imam Sahib is distracted. Everyone else is distracted. Are you really in khushu? You have that much concentration? Maybe you have practice at home. But I know these might be some very bitter things. I have to say it. These are bitter things to hear. But remember this, brothers and sisters, when we become a bias, when we become a means of other people's disturbance in the masjid, we get guna. We are not getting reward. Mothers and fathers, understand this. When you're bringing your kids, and the kids and our children are becoming a means of people ruining their concentration, you get a sin. You don't get ajr, you get a sin. What's the reward? What's the proof of that? The Prophet ﷺ said, if you have eaten garlic, don't come to the masjid. And what can you imagine about a kid yelling at the top of his, that's not annoying? That's not disturbing? The Prophet ﷺ said, if you've eaten onion, don't come to the masjid. I mean, onion, it's halal. Onion and garlic is permissible. It makes food good. Right? But if you've eaten that and the odor might bother someone, then don't come to the masjid. So can an imam now not say, if your children are going to bother somebody, don't come to the masjid? The Prophet ﷺ said, if the garlic is going to bother somebody, don't come to the masjid. And people are getting offended by this? No, then you have a kibr problem. You have a pride problem. Here's Rasulullah ﷺ telling us, you shouldn't get offended by these things. These are rules, these are regulations. And I know that inshallah, we work with them a little bit in the home. That 7-year-old boy, or that 6-year-old boy, or that 5-year-old girl that has tarbiyah from the home, wallahi, mashallah, they are gems. But when a parent knows that no, they're going to get, the weather is cold, they're going to get hungry, or what they do, they bring them to the masjid, no jacket, no socks, throw them inside the car seat, bring them in there, and then shh, 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 shh. Bichara kid is hungry, he's half like naked, no socks, no jacket, 40-degree weather, and then the tarawih is la 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 la, and the kid is just like, I want to go to sleep. But Ammi Jan, mashallah, she's becoming a Rabia Basriya tonight. It's my plan that this month I'm going to become Rabia Basriya, even if it means I'm going to destroy everybody else's ibadat. I hope that helps, inshallah ta'ala.